Hello, everyone. I am here today to record the 2024 yearly predictions. My name is Corrie Thorne. I'm the founder and creator of More Than Existing, and I am the owner of this YouTube channel. Plus, I also have the She Is More Than Existing podcast. Now, I have already put out all of the yearly for each and every zodiac sign. So wherever your zodiac sign falls within your sun sign, you can use it as your rising, you can use it as your moon, whatever. If you can watch them all if you like. There's a playlist that's created. And so each and every one was based on the collective energy that's not personal. So if it doesn't resonate with your sun, do check out your ascendant. Do check out your moon. It may be somewhere in your natal chart that is moving this year. You may have some transits that are happening where these planets may or these the energy from each zodiac sign may resonate in a whole different way with you this year. So there is 12 of them. Could take up a little bit of your time listening to them, but they are there. But this is for the yearly energy. So this is me traveling through all of the shifts and changes that are happening and just asking to let me travel, take my energy and move me through the year, move me through 2024. I really thought I would have this recorded earlier, but it didn't happen. So I am recording this on December the 27th, right after the full moon energy. But of course, we're still in the full moon energy as well. So this was the last full moon of December, was officially December the 26th. It was in Cancer. Now, it was a big wow kind of energy. It did have a lot of movement, a lot of emotions within it, and so you may be still feeling the effects of that for a few days. Now, there is also New Year's coming up. And the New Year's energy does bring, so I will be bringing in a little bit at the end of the month, at the end of December. So a little bit of 2023. You will hear me speak about it into 2024. You'll even hear me speak a little bit about 2025, 2026 because I know we've been waiting since like 2024. It's going to be the turnaround year. Everything is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's going to be great. Like the world is going to be at this kumbaya peace. And yeah, no, it's not. And 2024 is not going to be that either. But it doesn't mean we don't have good experiences. And the life is full of magical moments. Sometimes you just got to sit and just watch the magic come to you. Sometimes not don't mean you don't take action in other areas of your life, but where you have to be present. You have to be in your now because nothing is going to catch you. No miracle is going to happen when you're in your past. No miracle is going to happen when you're too far ahead of yourself or if you're being somebody other than you. This is a key for 2024. It is key that you do the healing that you need to do. Don't look into the reflection of anyone else, but for you to fully embody being the truest version of you, the most authentic self that you can be. Because you cannot open the key to your future by being somebody else, by mimicking, by mocking. It is so captivating. I find it so interesting because the moment, say, something comes out on TikTok, everyone, if it's new and it hits and then everyone kind of, gets into the flow, then everyone has to do it. But you're not the original. Everything becomes a copycat. So we've had a lot of copycat energy. We've had a lot of Lucifer kind of, a lot of Jezebel energy. We've had a lot of sinister energy. And I spoke a lot about the sinister energy in the 2023 predictive energy. And so what I spoke about in the 2023 predictive energy, which has followed all the way through, was the recognizing the sinister energy and how deep that sinister energy comes, how deep it really runs. And every single one of us has a good, bad, and the ugly. Every one of us has the potential to be the best or to be our worst. And often when things are going sideways or when people are not getting their way, is we see the worst of people. And when it's being like when you're poking the bear, when society, when the world is poking the bear of people's not so great characteristics by triggering their fear, their insecurities, It activates that. And so that sinister energy has really been activating that. There's also been a whole lot of imitation, right? Imitation light, imitation sense of success, of building success on false illusions that are not really true, that are built on really weak foundations. You can build the biggest empire you want, but if the foundation is weak, it will crumble. It's the same narrative story, and I don't know where this analogy came from, but it's not really, coming from it's wisdom that somebody else would have gotten many years ago. But it basically was, if you take all of the money from the one percenters of the world, the richest of the richest people, and you distribute it all to the poorest of people, and you give it all to the poorest, there is a 99% chance that that 1% will end up with the money back in their pockets. They will find a way to make that money back, because over here, this percentage will find a way to lose it, because there's that self-sabotage. Why? Because it's that belief system that has been programmed in, that leaves us to try to build worth from spending that money, right? By, if I have this, if I have that, and there's this revengeful, spiteful energy says, fuck that, it was given to me, and I'm going to blow this, and I'm going to spend this, and this is mine. And so that need to be created from a false illusion, the need to be created from the outside first, believing that that's going to bring you all of the internal flow of abundance and happiness and everything, will be not true. Now, it doesn't mean that the one percenters don't have insecurities and fears. And, well, yeah, they do. But think about this. Really think about this for a moment. That little bully in the yard, or that little kid getting bullied in the yard, in the schoolyard, that little nerd, that little brainiac, that little arrogant little shit who don't want people to know about all that's going wrong in their homes, all that's, all of their fears, all of their insecurities. They got to find somebody to pick on in order to create this status, because they can't stop it at home, they can't control it at home, so they find this place to do it, and they find what they think is the weakest link. Find the weakling. Well, the physical self may not be strong, but the mental self becomes very accustomed to being able to take a punch, to take being spoke to in a not kind way. And they wait their lifetime. They have patience. They wait their lifetime to be able to be that person who don't need to say, I'm going to come beat you up. I'm going to show the world. That person will be your boss someday. That person will be the person who you may have to answer to someday, because they knew what it was like. They sat in that truth. They became, so there's an underestimated, underrating that happens at that stage of the game. And so the thinking, how they think, what they're listening to, they know what you need. They know what you're seeking, and they will give you whatever you need. They will know how to manipulate that energy, because you're easily manipulated. You're easily fooled. That theory truly does really exist. It really happens. So the foundation, the belief systems, the stories, the narratives we've been told, when you unlearn all of that and you put the work into you, you then more than exist. And first you have to learn to more than just exist, and not to exist in the past or in the past hurts, or to make that your motivation, but the sense of knowing I am worthy, I am deserving, and not because somebody took little Susie, took it all when you're little, but because I know who I am. When you know who you know who you're not. no matter how much you're bullied in the park, no matter how much you got going on. So little Johnny probably went home and, and may have gotten beaten himself for being that kid who beat up another child. So the next day, everything that he has suppressed, he has to find someone to take it out on. Little Joe maybe went home and maybe got every bit of love that he needed. Maybe got told, you know what? You're only going to be here for a short period of time. This world, this grade 2er you are, this grade 10er you are, this school you're in, this is all temporary. Your life, your real life is on the other side of this. Your real truth is here. Those people are not mad at you. They're angry at themselves and may have gotten every bit of encouragement, inspiration, may have had parents who stood up for them, may have had people who stood their ground, went to the schools, spoke to the students, spoke to the teachers, made them feel like they were something, made them feel like they mattered, made them feel like they mattered. When you know you matter, you know you're worth the fighting for, to live your best life, to be your best life. And this energy is speaking to us big time. And it's just saying the world, the media, the political arena, all of that have become like the big ass bullies. And if there's this belief that we are losing our middle class, like the middle class is being taken out. So you get two choices. You either get to be in the poor or you get to be in the 5%ers, the 1%ers, you get to be in the rich, right? Which one will you choose? Do you just settle and just say, well, I just accept this. I just accept this is the way that it's going to be. Or do you say, well, if there's only two choices, there's only one for me. I'm going here. Because I'm not going to believe this narrative. I don't even accept this choice. This is not even a choice. Because every one of that choice is within us. We choose. We choose what we fall victim to. We choose what we believe. We make that choice. And if it's feeding our anger, our suppressed anger, our disheartenedness, our self-prophecy of this is just how it is, this is what it is, I told you so, I told you all people are like that, I told you this, and I don't want to be like those rich people because they're nothing but snobs, and I don't want to, so I'll just stay over here because I'd rather stew over here and be right than to make the changes that I need to be happy, to be at peace. Do I choose to be right or do I choose to be at peace? Do I choose to recognize how much I do matter and that I get a choice to do I really believe that to be true? Do I really believe my neighbor is my enemy? Do I really believe that narrative that one race is better than another? Do I really believe that? Is that really a truth? And so if those choices really don't exist, I don't accept those as my choices that I have to choose. I don't have to choose. I don't have to make that choice because my only choice is over here. It's in love. It's in knowing that I have done the work to build a strong foundation underneath me. And I remember where I have been. I know what I have been through. And this is a year of where accountability and responsibility comes back to us and just says, I'm accountable for that. I'm responsible for this, for my choice, for my decision. So it's just as if we just kind of move this energy, making this shift. And so this year brings us to a lot of these questions. And we're going to see a lot more of this arise. We're going to see so much more of it. Because who placed us in classes? Who divided us? When did we get divided? How come we're divided by money? How come we're divided by statue? How come we're divided? Why? And do we believe that to be true? So my one choice is to always live that middle road, to just know I'm worthy no matter what. And this past few years, I can tell you personally, I've lost everything financially. I did. It happened. How did not lose it? I let go of the grips of holding on so tightly to the pride that I finally could release that. This year is about releasing that pride that you hold on to, by releasing that need to be right, by setting that free and moving our way of seeing things, the way that we process. This is going to be a freak show of a year. And we're going to see the freak show. We're going to see shit is going to get weird. And, are we tired of seeing the circus act? Are we tired of seeing being being kind of dumbed down in some ways, of getting so caught up that we're forgetting to think for ourselves, right? And so there's a whole sense of, you know, what was I doing? What did I get trapped in? Because that imitation light is so powerful, we believe it to be true. We believe it to be true. And so they're bringing me back again here. They want to go back into that divide, right? And so it's like, you're going to be this poor. We're going to be, am I going to be poverty class, or am I going to be the 1%er? And I'm like, I'll choose to be the 1%er. Well, what if we all exist in the 1%er? Because it's how we view this, how we view that life. I just know that I have people in my life who never had a lot of money, who didn't have a lot of money. But they had something that I didn't have. They had peace. They had contentment. They had a multiple amount of abundance and wealth, because they had love in that house. They had love, which made them the richest people, because they were rich in everything that mattered the most to them. And because they were rich in everything that mattered the most, things that they needed came in. Their needs were met. Their needs were met. Did they have extra? No. But they knew the value of what was important to them. And this is key this year, is that we start to understand what matters, what is the most important. What is the most important to us? What really truly matters? Now, in 2023, it was a lot of talk about having to watch the collapse of the masculine energy. We would see a lot of men kind of falling, into their dark night, the soul journey, having to go through probably some depressions, taking time off of work. They have that, and so this could also be in the female, of where we just found ourselves like just making choices and decisions that really weren't logical, just kind of feeling caught up, kind of responding from the emotions. But we needed to fall in the masculine energy. 2024 is going to be it's the beginning of the rise of the masculine energy again. Is bringing back online the truth of masculine rising. There's a lot of Phoenix rising energy that really sits in 2024. A lot. And so there's a lot of this coming from the ashes. Now, Aries energy, because the Chiron in Aries plays a big role, and the Aries North Node and then the Libra South Node plays a massive role in 2024, where Aries is the ruling planet is Mars, but Aries is tied very strongly to masculine energy. And that masculine energy is stepping into that wounded healer and just being that healed sense of self, remembering who we are, remembering who they are. So you're starting to get this, like almost like coming out of this state of amnesia, of feeling lost, of losing self, and just bringing back in that sense of who, the importance of the masculine energy. So on a world scale, on a universal scale, and the energy of the universe is that we will see a much more masculine, healthy masculine approach, appearing within ourselves, appearing within others, but also that we stop dehumanizing the masculine energy, or demonizing. That there's been this kind of thought of demonizing masculine energy and giving the false illusions of masculine energy. And so this is where we get the return to light coming back in. The light is coming back on, which also brings us into practical, down to earth, feet on the ground, logical sense of self. So we just kind of, it's like we're just waking up. The world is just waking up in some areas or some ways and say, whoa, what just happened? What just happened? Now, I am picking up because of this. It almost feels like a lot of cardiac arrest this year, a lot of cardiac arrest and being like being brought back to life. I see a lot of like being cardiac arrest, men kind of having to be brought back to life. It's and this sense of healing that is happening, and just saying, I'm as important in a household as everyone else in a household. That masculine energy, that male energy, is just as important as the female energy. And now there is also throughout the year I'm also picking up the feminine energy, and feminine energy finding its truth again. So there is a revolution, a revelation of truth coming in to the power of true feminine energy, that true goddess energy. And women being the creators of this world, being the ones who give birth to this life, who bring in the next generations, is that sense of valuing, nurturing, supporting, women being able to kind of sit back and feel the support and love wrapping around, so that they can begin the journey of giving birth in this world. Creators, great, hands-on creators, artistic abilities, writers, storytellers, all of that type of energy of the female energy, just finding a way. A lot of crone energy really stepping up, seeing the crone energy, and you're really seeing it with the coming backs of Cher and Dolly Parton. They're crone energy. These are women who are in their later stages, but they have been through shit. They have seen these cycles of life. They've seen many phases. They've seen the rise and the fall of every little fad over the years, and they've stayed consistent. You know where they've stayed consistent? To being themselves, to being their authentic self, by recognizing that the role they play to us is a character. And they have never forgotten that they step in to character to play that. But remembering on the other side of that was their true essence. It is so obvious. We lost another one of our crones this year when we lost Tina Turner. Tina Turner was another one. And Tina Turner would say, this is her character, is who the world knew. And she stepped into character, and she loved her character. Same with Dolly, the same with Cher. I mean, I'm sure they love their character. They love what they bring to the world. They love what they give. But it's not that it's a separate part of themselves. It's a piece of them, but it's not all of them. We're not here to live in character. We're not here to be an imitation to our truths. We're here to be authentic and still know that we can be this, that we can be all of this. And so that crone energy, and seeing the rise of the crone, seeing the crone woman just coming to life in a big way, finding her space, taking her stand, claiming back her place here in this world. And you're going to see it in such a way that speaks common sense. And so the other thing that comes up for 2024 is one of the greatest senses that we have, or that we should have, is common sense. It is one of the greatest gifts, but it is not something that everyone has. But we're seeing an awakening in the generation that just arrived this year, like, or the last couple years. So my granddaughter was born in 2021, May of 2021, yeah, and she is feet on the ground. She has so much common sense and so much determination, and it's just so obvious in her. She was born with it. And so there's this all-knowing gift, this common sense knowing that is present in, not in everyone, but it doesn't mean we can't learn that common sense. If parents forgot to grow up and forgot to teach their children about the survival skills, about common sense, about just knowing, if you put your hand in there, that's going to hurt. And we're just bringing back in a common sense. And so 2024 is the beginning of plugging back in to the senses. And so we used to always say, our sixth sense. And great, I love my sixth sense. I would never change my senses. I would never change who I am as a clairvoyant, as this person. But I also have a strong connection to common sense. I just know how to behave, how to respond. And so it should be just a common sense knowing to certain things in life, and not judging anyone. It's just there's been generations that have had to kind of raise themselves, and they had to learn from getting it wrong. They had to learn from mistakes. It should be common sense to know that if we put a drug in our arm, it's what it's going to cause, right? And so, but that's not judging someone who has that addiction. That's just there is just so much more to that narrative and to that story. But in 2023, I said there's going to be a massive healing of addictive behaviors and personalities that are coming. And I said it would follow us into 2024. And this is where we finally start to see that waking up. And the common sense is recognizing, holy shit, I'm destroying myself. I may be angry. I may be hurt by the people of my past, but I'm not hurting them as much as I'm hurting myself. And I'm choosing. So there is a light that is coming on. It is sparking. It is being a light that just enters in. And everyone has to have that, no one can get through something until that moment happens. And so their light is coming back on. They're turning back on. They're recognizing who they are. They're recognizing they matter. And so as much as there's been this whole, society kind of being taken down by this addictive behaviors and patterns, there's going to be a comeback. There's going to be a rise, like just this all of a sudden. I'm going to say this as I get it, as I'm receiving it, as if God speaks, as if God speaks to the masses and don't judge somebody doing drugs. If you're addicted to your phone, you have an addiction, right? And it stimulates something inside. It is hard to break free of that, but we're missing moments of life. And so this is where there's just this light comes on. It may be with food. It may be with phone. It may be with a person. It may be addicted to unhealthy relationships. But where all of a sudden this spark of this light just enters, this God speaks from the inside out. And boom, the test failed. The test on using society as guinea pigs failed. And we're going to see that failing. We're going to see that crumbling. And back to that crone energy. The crone energy brings back hands on. It brings back the things that are important. 2024 also brings back trades. It brings back a whole group of generations that decide that the trades is the place to be. There's a whole place where AI cannot replace us. And I was in the hair industry for 30 something years, and it was the most incredible life. I loved my hairstyling life. I loved being an advanced esthetician and a color specialist. Like those were things that I enjoyed so much in my life. And it was my back that finally took me out. But the personal touch, that hands-on touch, that relationship that you build, that connection, those are places where AI is not replacing. And as much as they try, there is a space and a place for us to be, and the trades are an absolute must. We need tradespeople. We need people to do this work, but also a return to that sense of not being so entitled in the job that you work yourself kind of up and out. You're not available to your clients, to your people, but recognizing that we can accommodate people. And so there is a sense of humbling that also comes with it, and a sense of realizing that, you can only be in the trades if the person who is sitting, say, in your chair pays you. And I used to always say that to my staff. I say, remember, your boss is that person in your chair, but you don't take abuse. from nobody. Nobody has a right to disrespect you. But your job is to listen to that person, is to get to know that person because they are paying your wages. They are bringing that money in, not you bringing that money in. They're bringing that money into your business. They're bringing that money to the carpenters. They're bringing that money. So we're finding balance back in that world as well, because it did become a disheartening world. It became a place of where it fell out of a balance. It fell out of, everything has fallen out of sorts. And this is where we're bringing balance back in, the balance of giving and receiving and gratitude is very important, to be grateful. I'm grateful for these gifts, grateful to be this creative person. I couldn't live without my creativity, without creating, because if I wasn't creating, something would be lost inside of me. I'd get lost. Everything just, there is no, it's an outlet. It's a way of expression. And so the society needs the trades of people being expressive, an outlet to get that energy out. We need the outside. We need our sun. We have been feared to go inside. We have been feared into fearing our own environment, fearing our sun, fearing our world to live in. And this is where we start to wake up and go, what the hell was I believing? Why did I why did I believe that to be true? And this is where, shit's getting real, because it's just getting so, it's just getting so ridiculous that it's hard to convince anymore. And so there is, like I said, it is that comeback. We are in the midst of a comeback. We're in the midst of awakening, a big awareness that is showing itself this year. Um, oh, yes. And so the other thing that was showing up was the healing of the generations. And so, because we have the Chiron in Aries, and we have I believe it was on the 26th of December, there was, and I'm not an astrologer, there was the Chiron, or however you say it, it goes into station and direct. Was that a huge part of that? Huge part of this is the beginning of everything we're doing now is really truly that sense of, and feeling it within ourselves, feeling that shift that's happening. There's a healing of our ancestors that is now complete and done. So the release of karma, of karmatic debts, all soul contracts. So even your soul has completed many missions, and it feels as if the soul is like finally saying, okay, now we're here for the real stuff. Now we're here for the good stuff. We've served our purpose with all the souls we've met before. And so we feel the sense of the wisdom of the wise ones really truly ascending. The ancestors of the past are ascending. We have acknowledged them. We have become aware of how we are spirit and how connected we are to spirit. Like us that work in this world have always been aware of it, but on a bigger scale, on a world scale. People are starting to recognize that, we're not it. And that when our loved ones pass, they are still with us. They're as alive as we are without this physical body. And so, but there is so this takes me back to the crone. The new generation of crones are being handed the keys to open the doors, to walk the journey. And I want to say some younger crones, but definitely the 50 plus crone, 50 plus. That's kind of where I'm seeing that the crones that are in their 50s plus are really truly taking the thrones, sitting in their thrones. They are wearing their crowns. Fix your crown, girl. Because you know what? This is where everything that you have been saying for years, you felt like you're wasting your breath. You felt like, God, no one ever listens to me. This is where now they're going to want to listen. Now they're going to want to listen, and they're going to be listening intently. And so it's where that crone energy gets to have that rite of passage to walk their path. To life gets a little bit easier, but you become that star energy in so many big ways. if you've done your work. Some elder energy has never done the work, and so they're still standing at 12, 15, 16. It's important to that the work has been done. It's important that you do the work. So if you haven't, this may be where you see a lot of that that 40, 50-year-old women, 60-year-old women really truly stepping into everything that is healing, finding like, why am I so interested in this now? How come now? But you become very curious of you. You become very curious of your truth because you have time for you now. And so there is that beginning of this time for you that is stepping in. But also the grandfather energy, like I said, there's a like this is where the chains are breaking. The chains of in family lines of, it could be addiction, abuse, those type of things. We're seeing an ending of those cycles appear and allowing that to take place. This year we may even experience a lot of birth of males. A lot of little boys feel like they're coming into this world in 2024. Now, of course, we're going to get boys and girls, but it just feels like it is a year of where we are um, building the support for the fortress is where the support for the fortress as we move forward is really stepping in for us. And and so we may find, if you're pregnant, if you're thinking about having a baby, if you really wanted a boy, this may be. Now remember, this is not to be taken as to replace any of your own free will choices, not replace any medical, psychological advice. This is entertainment. I'm not working with anyone personally, but the energy just shows me a lot of masculine energy. And so if you've been really wanting a boy, this may be your year. If you were planning on having a child, if you're thinking about pregnancy, you may all of a sudden somewhere in this year be very inspired because that little soul may be coming into your life somehow. um and so that's where, I can just feel that taking place, feel that coming in and around us. Now, I do also have, when I keep saying shit's getting weird, is when we start to see these glitches. So, sometimes you're watching, you may notice on your phones, you may notice in the TV, you're watching, and all of a sudden everything just goes one, 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 like all weird and funny. Weird and funny. It's because there's a lot of weird kind of energy. It's almost as if technology can't keep up to as fast as the universe is, as God is taking back over. I'm going to say that. That's exactly as they just give it to me. As fast as God is taken back over. Just like how they can't bring, it's in hair, in hair, I'm going to refer this to hair. So in hair, people show us like, I want white hair, I want gray hair. Well, in order to get gray hair, we have to eradicate that gold, the molecule, the color within the hair. Well, the gold is the smallest and it's buried the deepest within the hair. So in order to bust out that gold is that you are removing that last little piece that keeps the structure together. So you have to destroy the hair and then try to tone it and try to recreate something that is impossible. Whenever we remove gold from the hair, it's like, I would say, it's like removing God. It becomes, the hair is now, we have destroyed the integrity of the hair. And instead of saying, you know what, we can do this slowly, or, we can still have a little bit of a gold undertone, we create the false illusions. And people say, well, how come my gray hair won't last? How come it doesn't stay this color? It's the same thing as putting a false red in. How come my red won't stay in? Well, the molecule is too big. And so it doesn't fit. It doesn't stay in because there is no cuticle left. There's nothing to seal it in. So it just falls out. It washes down the sink. So you're left with a more pinky, muted kind of color. You got to keep shampooing it. The same thing with the yellow. The yellow kind of just brings itself back. It comes back in. Or your hair cracks off. It falls off. It breaks off. That shit really, truly happens. You slowly and surely can work towards things. Now, What's been happened was that slow removing of, say, the gold, of the light, the slow and steady process of destroying the integrity. And this year is where the gold starts to bring itself back online. This is where the divine God, source, creator starts to say, okay, you know what? I've let you all do it on your own. Now we're stepping back in. And so this is where that sense of divine interventions start to appear. This is where the sinister, this is where Jezebel, this is where that sense of darkness can't hide. There's a light shining in the darkness, on the darkness. There's a light shining up on our own darkness that just says, do you see that? Did you just hear yourself? Did you hear yourself just being all judgy? Did you hear yourself just talking about somebody and saying how I can't believe they talk about other people, but yet you're talking about them? Do you hear that? That shit is real, and it really happens. And so the light is the light is coming back in, the light is turning back on. It is kind of where we're going to feel like sometimes we're going backwards to go forwards. We're feeling like we're going backwards to go forward. We have to kind of lose a lot of things and kind of go back into having to reverse it. Is just like how I chuckle every time I'm in a grocery store and there's the option to get a paper bag. So we bought in, we went from paper, which was great, to then we had plastic, which paper wasn't good enough. So we got plastic. Then we got reusable bags, which we all forget at home. So then we have to buy new reusable bags. Now, who's making profit? Smart, because it's convinced us of something. I was like, that's okay. I'll just take 10 of those paper bags. If I forget my bag, I'm not buying another one. I got 100 of them in the car. And it's where we start to think, this is bullshit. I'll just have a whole bunch of those paper bags, please. And I'll just put them all in my cart and I'll bring them all home and I'll empty them all out. And I know what happens to paper, right? And of course, we don't want to be cutting down more trees. It's not about those things. It's not anything. It's about an awareness of not being manipulated, not being fooled into believing that something is for our highest good, or something is, we're doing this for your good. We're selling you bottled water because we have convinced you not to drink your water. So now you're going to pay us for that water. We did this for you. No, that was not for you. That was not for me. That was not for any of us. That was a smart person thinking that if I can convince you that you shouldn't drink your water, you will buy the water. Ta-da! Right? And so this is what this is where we're starting to catch on to this. And we're starting to question. So there's a lot of questioning that's happening. And that's where that common sense kind of comes in, is that we should question things and we should question everything. We should even question our own beliefs. And so this year, you're going to see a lot of that questioning of beliefs coming in. Now, I don't even know what I wrote up there. We'll go back to it. So I'm also seeing this year the major players in the game seeing people step down, seeing people having to step down, seeing people being removed from power. So you're going to see people, and I'm going to say, like, I'm in Canada. I wouldn't be surprised if you see by, March, April, possibly someone like Trudeau being, removed from power or making a choice to step down. There's going to be a lot of revelations that kind of give every reason why it's time for there to be a shift in power, a move in power. Biden, same thing. I feel as if there's so many whys and reasons behind this shift. And because what I see and how I see this is I see them going down like this. I see it going down like this. So it's almost like I'm seeing a chart, and then I see them step out and somebody else step in, and I see that rise again. So it's almost as if it is like a cluster. So there's like, it's not just one, it is like a cluster. And then I see like this peak, but it's not, it's a wavery peak. It's not a full rise. We're not like having this huge kumbaya celebration. It's like this wavery little energy that just says, yeah, we're not all the way there. We got to learn to trust ourselves. And when we can trust ourselves, then we can trust in our choices and our decisions. And that's speaking to us in a big way. But there is like I said, there's a step down in power. There's a revelation that's happening. There's also going to be something of a massive, massive shift that happens in around the tie between Russia and China. And I just feel like it's like when you got two kings fighting, like saying they were on each other's side, there's always that sense of underhandedness or whatever it may be, that there's going to be some sort of like falling out. So there is going to be some sort of fallouts, some sort of like the integrity is weak, and we have such weak integrity in all foundations. You'll see the collapse of some medias. I feel like you're going to see the sense of a big, big reveal of something coming out of the woodworks of that really truly exposes that sense of mainstream, in some way that just says you got to pull up your socks. You got to remember, who is it that you're really, why did you go into this? And so you may see more of the mainstream media people choose to be their own podcast, to be their own shows, to be able to speak their truth. Because I just feel like they have been in this invasion of energy. They've sold their souls, right? That selling of our souls just to have a job, just to be popular, just to be someone, just to make money. And I just feel like they're just claiming that back this year. So you may see some of the big wigs I mean, I don't watch news, so don't ask me if anyone, but the big wigs in media finally saying, you know what, I've had enough. My contracts are done. I feel like this, like being voided of contracts and choosing to be independent. So there's a lot more independence. And when that independence steps out and spreads itself out, I feel like they really truly are in positions and places of where they're going to start to speak their own truths, to tell their own stories, to be able to restore that sense of integrity within themselves. They're done selling their souls. They're done being caught up in those narratives. They're done being held hostage to, if you want a job, you do this. If you want this, you do that. So there is going to be I feel like it's like a chessboard. I'm seeing like a chessboard, and I'm seeing that movement that is happening. And they're moving pieces, and some are just like, I'm done playing this game. And so there's this like, done playing this game, done being a part of this. Now, it doesn't mean there's not somebody else willing to step up and take that place, but this feels like a lot of that crone energy. It feels like it's a lot of that choices and decisions to choose. Now, there is still going to be a lot of instability in early 2024, especially. And we're still on rocky ground. I don't see there being a total end of some of this war energy all the way through until maybe May or so. But I do see like something being coming from under the covers between that sense of recognizing something within that Ukrainian Russian wars, where I feel like we may see kind of like the people are saying this is enough now. So you may also see the change in the power. You may also see that sense of change in power in one of those sides. That may be where one of the big changes and shifts in powers comes in. And I do feel like there is some sort of shift happening there. Now, whether it's a resolution, whether it is an ending, but it just kind of brings about, and it's not in balance. There's not a balance, but it just feels like there is that separation happening here. I see that separating. I see them being a separate energy happening there. I also seen this, and it was really weird because I wasn't expecting this. Some sort of like cold case or cold cases of years gone by. It may have been centuries, like some sort of big murder case that never ever got solved, never ever was able to truly find out. But I feel like there was whispers or there was talks of it being like there being some sort of proof, but never ever brought to full justice. I do feel like there is, not I feel like I seen this. I seen this so clearly, as if there is a murder from years ago that is being uncovered, and somebody is still here, or they either just passed. I feel like they may have even just passed, but where there is a truth coming out that reveals the truth of who that person was, who committed the crimes, who did that. Um, and it's kind of like that shockwave energy, and I see that shockwave energy around it. Now I don't really have a time frame on it. I feel like it may be more into the fall of the year again, but it's just like it's just I see it coming back in the news. It's becoming front news again. And so it may be more than one case. It may be where we finally get to have that full sense of peace, because when the divine starts stepping in, it reveals it's the monsters are being revealed, and the monsters are being brought to justice in some way in a lot of areas. And so that monster energy is being caged up. That monster energy is being like brought to justice somehow, being caged, not being able to run so freely. Um, and have that freedom to run about in this world. And so that was just like over here. It was doing its own thing. It was floating around. It was moving about. Uh, um, Also shoes. Like I don't know if this is somebody who's a shoemaker or a designer of some sort. I just see like someone who either was kind of ostracized or kicked out, having some sort of like comeback with shoes. This might be Donald Trump's daughter. I don't know. I don't know, but there's something about shoes and walking in those shoes, selling those shoes, purses, just making a comeback in such a big way, as if to say, um, I wasn't this, or I told you this, or whatever this may be. But there's just something that is speaking here. Um, Weather patterns. Of course, we have some weather patterns coming up. There is a um, mm, there is a lot of, how do I see this? And I feel like this takes us into the coming to closer to the end of the winter season. A lot of like ice rain, like ice rain. So like frozen rain, like freezing rain. I see a lot of like ice storms hitting. I see wires going down. I see power going out. And it just feels like it's just like all of a sudden there is like this big deep freeze. It's like a really warm spurt and then a big deep freeze. And it's in an unexpected time. It's when we should be having, a little more leeway in weather, or it's happening in areas of where they don't normally have it, whatever this may be. But I just keep seeing the rain fall, and then as quick as it falls, it's turning to ice, and it's just like big icicles, and I'm seeing these big icicles. And so there's a lot of deep freeze kind of energy that just says, this is when we think we're out, and it's going to hit, and it's going to be catastrophic, of course, like it does. And it's just going to cause a lot of damage that's going to, take some time to repair, restore. It's where you also see communities come together. And I just got freezing, like ice cold. Like I am so cold. And we've had a very mild winter so far here in Alberta in comparison to what our normal time is. But dude, I do feel like this may find its way into more into February. March, of where we just hit into like a big deep freeze kind of energy. And so it may lead us into a little bit of a colder spring. It may be a while before we actually see summer take place. It does possibly feel like summer may be a shorter period of time, or that the summer has a lot of like hailstorms, like hail that I keep seeing coming in. That's also showing up. Um, so the sense of weather patterns and winds, storms, tornadoes, those type of things. I mean, just the weirdest, oddest time of the year to have tornadoes. Expect the unexpected all year. That's what it feels like. I also see the going like something of a like big ship going down, a big ship going down. And it doesn't mean it sinks all the way to the bottom, but it could be like some sort of cruise ship company that just kind of doesn't make it through all of these difficult times, or it's just like, or it is actually an accident. But it is like um, there's a lot of fibs and lies type of thing, like a lot of not true stories that to get the Titanic on the water, to get it going. And I just feel like there's just something around the Titanic story and to this time, to this stage or this age in time. And it doesn't mean it's happening this year. It could also be 2025, but I just keep seeing it. And I'm like, I just keep seeing this ship going past me like a cruise shippy type of thing. And then it's not there. And so I don't know if it's because of a storm or storm patterns that is appearing. I also see a new island appearing, a new island appearing. I do have some stuff around Japan that is coming up as well, and I am seeing around Japan and the after effects of, um, you know, of some of the damages of floods, or some of the environmental damages from um, what was that nuclear plant or whatever that went into the ocean. I just feel like Japan's got some sense of cleaning. Like, I don't know if it's another storm hitting Japan or a tsunami type of thing, but I just see Japan having to really clean and clear up. Um, but also a lot of focus being brought into Japan. A lot of focus. I don't know what's coming out of Japan. I don't know what's tied into Japan. Could be manufacturing as well. So there's like a smorgasbord of energy around tying around Japan and the connection to Japan and the connection to Japan and the rest of the world, and having some sort of connection. And I just keep seeing it as energy. It keeps pulsating like this, and I just keep seeing this pulsating energy. So I feel like Japan, we may have some, a fair bit about Japan in the news, or coming up in our awareness throughout the year as well. Now it is, people say it's, maybe it's not a good year to buy a home, to buy a house, but it actually is. It actually is. Now, I'm not your financial advisor. Do not take financial advice from me. I told you in the beginning year, I did have to lose everything. I am learning finances. I'm learning how to love me enough to build that relationship with money, and money is energy. But this is what the energy is telling me, is that this is a good time to buy things such as single family homes, because it is also the area of where greed and squeezing people into land and believing the narrative and the stories that we need, is that we can't have single family homes. God forbid if you have your own land or your own home, is that this is a good time to buy those homes, because it's not the everyday person that will be then buying. It's other people stepping in to buy those up to turn into bigger properties. Whereas this is an opportunity for you. I feel like in the end, it'll be a good investment for some people. Now, do not take your advice from me. You can, use your own free will in doing this. But I see this as a prime opportunity for buying single family homes and single family lands. Um, Same with farms, like really hold on to farmland. It's like hold on to the farmland, keep it. It feels like it's a very good year for wheat, for the wheat farmers, for profitable, for wheat becomes such a big thing. Um, Now, there's also a lot of emphasis on a sense of kind of having to bring awareness back to Hawaii. And we have kind of like, it's like, and I just keep getting this, and this is where the angels are coming in. And it's just like Hawaii is God's land. And that sinister energy has stepped into Hawaii, and it has become a big part of Hawaii. And it's just like, you're not taking God's land. And I just feel like it's like this like divine intervention, just stepping into the energy around Hawaii and finding that sense of restoring Hawaii. And it's bringing in the the bird kind of, the bird tribe. I feel like I'm getting this from the birds. Like I'm hearing this from the angels. I'm hearing it from the birds. I'm seeing the flowers. I'm seeing restoration and revival and the heartbeat of Hawaii rising back up. I'm feeling the sense of Pali speaking to me. I'm feeling that volcano energy. You're not built next to the volcano for a reason. So there may be like a sense of, there may be an eruption. It may be something that just makes it a spark, like a light show. But it's like, and because I just said earlier, I think I see an island growing. I see a new island, and I just feel like Hawaii is bringing back its heart. Hawaii is taking back its land. Like it's just there is that God goddess energy stepping into Hawaii, the tribal energy. The ancestors are, they have given back power to the people of Hawaii, the original people of Hawaii. And I just see Hawaii kind of finding its place in this world again, finding its purpose. And there's just this large sense of power. I feel like I want to beat my chest. Like, and I'm Indigenous. I know the power of the Indigenous communities, and our connection to Earth, and our power of the Middle Earth and the Middle World that is working. And nothing is greater than God. Nothing's greater than Source Creator. Nothing is greater than the power of the will of the divine when it decides it's stepping in. And I just feel like it's being like brought back to the people. The people are being cared for. The people are standing up for themselves, and there is a big uprise of divine light in Hawaii that we see take place throughout. And I feel like by like the summer months, it's like there's going to be no denying the sense of Hawaii and the value of Hawaii, and the people of Hawaii. Um, that's coming up as well. It's also going to be a year of where, starting businesses, do start those small businesses. Do let yourself, if you're feeling inspired, if you have that urge. But it is where a small business doesn't just become a space that has become where we keep 3 items on the shelf. It becomes a collective again. It becomes an environment again of where you feel welcome. And so it is where we turn back times of where a small business was a place of where you felt like you could walk in. You felt like you were invited in. So it could be things such as small convenience stores. It could be things as stores that carry multiple things, but not just somewhere where you're afraid to walk into because it's become a designer store, or where no one says hello. It is where we bring back. And so it's the beginning. Now, this is not going to all happen in 2024, but we feel that inspiration. We feel inspired to, that's what they're telling me. We feel inspired to just see that the heartbeat of communities return again. And so there's that heartbeat of communities return. We've kind of drank the Kool-Aid of just saying, it's no place or space, or if you open it, it has to be this designer look. No, it feels like it's the ma and pa kind of places. It feels like it's just like whether it's a restaurant, and this follows through, and we'll see the big comeback of these small places by 2027. But it is like this big comeback of getting out, being a part of community, family again. The family dynamics are coming back. That building of families and structures are returning. That wholesomeness in a way is coming back in. And it's like it's a return. And it is something that builds stability, it builds integrity, and it is something that is in the energy. And we had to fall apart so that we could really appreciate it, but also so that on a parental parental dynamic is that this is where adults become adults and children get to be children. And it's where we find that sense of adulting and finding that sense of maturity. So it is this next few years is all about it's time to grow up. It's time for someone to be the parent, and it should never be the child. It is where we start to find the structure, the why, and it's because we have a desire again, because there is a return to that sense of wanting to really truly be better, to be alive, to come to life, to see community gatherings. It will be where we start to see communities wanting to create it's places that of where people can walk around. Our downtown sectors will be returned to being able to feel like you're safe, being like you can walk into a place again, which also means we're going to start, there will be a return to using discernment in about um, the safety of our children, in about caring about the safety of children, that children's safety does matter. And so, yes, we need to have screenings. Yes, we need to know certain things, but no, we don't need to have little chips put in our bodies and our eyes. And I just feel like we're stopping. There's a stop. There's a limitation to where we're allowing that, where AI has a place and only a place, but not to replace us. And AI has a place over here. There is no doubt, but it's not here to replace us. What we need as a human race and what evolves us as a human race is love. And love is an action. Love is in action. Love is compassion. It is caring. And that we start to care about everything. We start to recognize that sense of neighborly connections, but also where, not everyone wants to leave their countries. People want to feel safe in their countries. So I feel like we start to bring in a sense of safety in other countries of where they're like, I'd rather live in my country than your country. But, it's nice to visit, but I'll take my nice warm country and my palm trees over your cold, cold winter. And it's where we get to, also be able to have that sense of travel again, being able to visit each other, being able to connect, and affordability. So it's like there is a tipping of the scale in the expenses, in how expensive the world has come, to where it's becoming outpriced, to bringing back in the price. And no, the cows are not going to be killed off and die off. We're still going to have meat in a few years, because meat or crickets, what would you rather eat? um, so it's balance. Everything it will be about balance. And like I said in the beginning, it is about common sense. It's about thinking rationally. It's about getting back into reality of what really matters to us, what truly makes a difference to us, what brings us into that place of beautiful changes in our lives. So yes, that sense of building dreams again, building dreams, believing in the trades, connecting to the trades, seeing people finding a purpose and a why to get up and go to work, to leave their homes. Now, I don't know if I'll be leaving my home for my job, but getting back out, but not so tied. So this is where the shift is, though. The shift is not so tied of being a slave to the system, but being able to be artistically creative, to be able to feel the joy of creating and finding our way back to some sort of normalcy of where we're not owned, right? And so this is where we're done with the being owned by the world and by society, and having the freedom to be ourselves and to have that sense of liberation, to be liberated, to be able to have that sense of being able to build communities without being so dictated. It's like building a cul-de-sac and every house looking the same. Those things cause severe depression. They cause us to be stuck in traps. and it is an entrapment story. And so if you want to have whatever style of home you want and what it looks like, that should be your choice, right? And so there is that sense of bringing back that you get to choose. You get to choose that. Um, but also being able to move about freely in areas, but also knowing the power that is important is that it is the children that are watching, the children that matter, and there is a massive leveling up that is taking place. And it's as if we're just kind of getting this shake. It's like, where have I been? It's like the world kind of had this zombie kind of energy, and now there is a turnaround, and it's like the comeback, and it's the comeback of society. It is the comeback of life, and it's where we're not going to be so easily kind of offended either. Just saying, um, because it's a healed state of being. It's a healed state of being. Um, Now, it is also where 2024 brings us deeper into that connection with a higher consciousness, a higher awareness, um, a sense of, making space and understanding of each other. But it's also when we really start to make that connection to other planets. And no, we're not leaving Earth type of thing. Mother Earth can take care of herself. Just saying. She do not need us, because if she decides to shake shit up in this world is going to shake. And we will feel some shakes. We're definitely going to feel some shakes. There's definitely, I am seeing, we've had years of fire. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple big earthquakes in very big popular spaces and places. Um, this year, whether it's like somewhere like LA or somewhere like that, I am seeing that. But I'm also seeing um, the equator, and somewhere around the equator, around there, um, like a breaking open somehow. So it could be like I said, that could be earthquake type of energy as well. Um, like those damn aliens, they keep talking over here. And so that sense of alien energy, and of course AI is an alien kind of energy, and so we do have that connection um into other planets, being able to really truly connect. But also we're recognizing there's space junk, and we may start to really notice the space junk and what space junk is doing, and also to start to care about other, not to be so wrapped up in just our world, but to be more concerned about the world that's outside of us, because we all live in this ball floating around in this universe. And so if that gets messed with, then we get messed with. So our focus kind of becomes, I feel like focus is going to start turning around and start really paying attention to what we're putting out there, what is happening out there. And there's a little bit of a war energy that I'm seeing that's happening out there. So it could be a war out there in over satellites, over something like this. And I do see like some big satellite that really truly matters kind of having some sort of crash coming down. There is some days of darkness that definitely exist. There's weird, going to see weird shit taking place throughout 2024. There's some certainty, like a sense of knowing. So it's a restoration of confidence. If you've been feeling that lack of confidence the past couple of years, like just feeling like, what happened to me? Why do I feel so, like I am not confident? Why do I feel like I am not sure of myself? You're going to really truly start to see that restoration of that coming in. It's like, oh, you're confident, your spiritual confidence, your knowing is coming back on. You're going to see people start to really truly not to be afraid to exist. And there's just a restoration of life coming back. I feel like there's life. A lot of births really truly happening by 2025. May see more pregnant women than ever before. But it is that realizing also the value of the woman, and the woman's ability to create, to give birth to babies, to children, and we need those children. It's a turnaround of where we stop believing the narrative of, of we're overpopulated, and we start to realize that, family dynamics is important. You start to see relationships being restored, healthy relationships, and families just deciding to have like more than one child, more children, just bigger families, bigger family dynamics really coming in. And also in the automotive department, it just feels like when we feel like it's going down and we're losing that sense of our automotives and our vehicles and our cars, there is a um, there is something that just like a stand up. And I don't feel like you're going to, it just feels like you're going to be, car companies will be probably busier than ever trying to keep up a change in laws or a change in direction or a halt of a plan, recognizing that we can't see the collapse of the automotive departments because it is huge. Factories being returned to the US and into Canada, seeing factories kind of come back in, but in a healthier way of doing things, of course. We should be evolving. That is just life. But a realization that we can't just shut everything off. We need things to be slow transitions and not quick transitions just to build power. And so that was the other thing that I had. You should be tired of, that media and politicians using fear to get to climb the ladder of success, because everything that has been pushed so hard to happen now was about the ladders of success and not about the survival of humanity. And so that's where we're going to see a big shift taking place as well. And they're speaking this, and the guides are shaking their head. The divine is shaking their head and just saying, no, no, no. These are my people. These are not your people. And you are not doing this to my people anymore. And I just feel like it's like we just find that we're just going to find balance. We're going to find balance. Everything needs to be cleaned and cleared up. That includes our thoughts, our own behaviors, our own actions, and how we treat each other as a human race. That we are a human race, and that's the race that we are. And that's what matters the most. And that we start to bring that back, that we start to care for each other on a human scale, because it is love. And when we can find that love, that compassion, and I do feel like there's going to be several experiences that gives us every reason for us to fight for each other as a human race, as a collective energy, and that we are all matter in that collective energy. And so there is a lot of powerful transformation. There's a lot of transit energies. Now I think I kind of skipped over this, but on New Year's Eve is when we have a big shift happening when we come out of retrograde. We come out of retrograde and we begin that new year. So it already starts with a bang. It's like we've just kind of been pulled back, and it's like the slingshot, right? So it's like it just slings us in. So it's like you get this gung ho and we're just going to jump in. It's like, hey, yeah, I got to get this. But then it's like, oh shit, we're not prepared. And so there, it's like slow and steady wins the race. A lot of turtle energy speaking to me. Slow and steady kind of wins the race. You're still going to get there. Like I said in the beginning, you need to be the truest version of you in order to open the doors to your destiny. Authenticity is an absolute must. And the rest is just bullshit, fluff and feathers. And so this is where we start to see this happening. You may feel that sense of motivation. I'm going to go, 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 do. And, don't worry about somebody else being ahead of you. Somebody else may launch, something ahead of you. Somebody else may be more successful than you in getting in the beginning of the year. It doesn't mean your success is not there, because your success is not in chasing anyone else. Your success is not in being anyone else. You are not going to be successful at being the best of you by mimicking and mocking and being a copycat of something or somebody else. Authenticity all the way around is going to be so important moving through 2024. Staying true to that sense of self, returning to self. We were made, if this is such a truth, is that we are made in the perfection, in the eyes of perfection, right? In the eyes of God, we're made into perfection. Whatever God means to you, could mean sun, moon, stars, rock, I don't care. Could be just universe, whatever it is. This is what I'm given. This is what I'm told to speak. This is how God speaks to me. And so, it's like if we're made in the eyes of the perfection, if we're made in the eyes of God, and we're made in perfection, and we are made perfectly the way that we need it to be, why did we need to destroy it? Right? If we all arrived in that perfect form, shouldn't our goal be to find our way back to that instead of keep running away from that? Because the more we're on the run, the farther away from self we get. And only when you're so far away that you recognize you're lost are you able to say, this is in the More Than Existing book. I am done. I am done. I'm finding joy and happiness no matter the cost. What is it costing you? What does it cost us to keep being so far away from self? To either be a copycat, to be mimicking, to be, chasing the thrill, to be chasing the butterflies, to be chasing life. When if we just bring ourselves back to self, plant ourselves into this body, into who we are, heal this, fall back in love with this, see the value that you bring, make that relationship to the soul, see the essence of the spirit of your truth and what joy that brings, and you will ignite that joy inside. Fall back in love, fall back here, and life will blossom and bloom. Because then that's when the door to destiny opens. And so there's a lot of people meeting that destiny this year. There's a lot of people meeting their divine self, moving into, including land, including earth, including this sense of universal energy. There is something so powerful that is moving through this energy this year, that it is a year of excitement. We should be excited about it. We're here for a reason. We are here during this time because we're here to be a part of all of this. We're here, whatever our soul's destiny is to, so that we can be a part of this. And what do we learn from this? What are we learning so that we can bring this back? What are we ready to let die and go into the ashes so that it can be transmuted back as wisdom and love and guidance? Because there is so many phoenix rising moments this year that just brings life, enthusiasm, and excitement on a whole new level, but also a sense of peace. Will we find peace fully in 2000 as a world in 2024? Maybe not. But can we make peace with our past in 2024? Absolutely. Then we free the adult, you free the child. Free us today, and we free the ancestors. And can you imagine the wisdom that comes when we recognize that the elders are much more beneficial to us, as seeing them as spirit, listening to them as spirit, than listening to them from our emotions and responding from our emotions of what we feel, the hurt, we feel the pain. But if we can feel the spirit and we can grow from spirit, imagine the changes that we'll be in. We will be in a higher vibrating energy, healing, existing, living in a powerful sense of being motivated, inspired, encouraged. Because it's sometimes our emotions that are speaking for the ancestors, instead of believing that they have learned so much and they have so much to share with us from spirit. I send you so much love. And I hope 2024 brings you many blessings. Expect miracles in 2024. There may be some of you may be going for some big major surgeries this year. It may be the year where you have to, kind of heal the body in the physical body. It's a lot of focus on the physical bodies. I'm one of those. I am having a spinal surgery in January. There is a big shift happening. Big shift happening on January the 21st as well. that kind of becomes that, it's like a revolutionary kind of shift is what I'm feeling. And it kind of just turns, the tides begin to turn. So there's a turning in the tides, a shift that is happening. I feel like the world is kind of shift on its axis a little bit, and we're kind of tipped a little bit. And we may find ourselves shifting again, another tip kind of happening. Um, and yeah, and so you may find yourself having to go through some surgeries, having to have some things repaired within. And those are areas where we may have had those blockages for, throughout many lifetimes, or throughout this lifetime, where we may have carried the weight of the world. It may have been where you carried resentment, anger, and this is where we're freeing ourselves. This is where we're repairing, restorative. So release, repair, restore, replenish. And there's so much that is speaking to us in that energy this year and moving through us and just bringing life in. So we get chatty. We want to communicate. We want to be in person. We want to be with people. And sometimes we just have to finish up those last little pieces. So don't be discouraged if you have to go through those experiences that you just know are the things that are to helping you in your healing journey to bring you into the best version of yourself. I send you so much love. Have a beautiful, beautiful year, and many, many blessings. Mwah. Much love.